This has been so widely requested lately, so I've decided to do an individual video for each family member. I think we all know about this heart-wrenching case. Family annihilator Chris Watts decided that he wanted to have a lifetime of firsts with his mistress. Instead of divorcing his wife, Shanann Watts, who was clearly too good for him and his toxic parents, he chose to gaslight her into believing that everything was fine. Instead of letting her go, he chose to murder her, their unborn son, and 2 young daughters. On August 16, 2018, 3 days after she disappeared, Shanann's body was uncovered in a shallow grave near an oil site where Chris worked. The body of a small fetus was also found in the same spot. She was in a moderate state of decomposition, which is likely to blame for her high blood alcohol level found on her toxicology. Her external exam revealed patterned abrasions on her neck, possibly from fingernails. Internally, she had bruising to the strap muscle in her neck, she had a partially collapsed lung, and her scalp was congested. This means that the blood flow was slowed or halted to the tissue prior to death. These findings are consistent with manual strangulation. What stands out to me was that she did not suffer any major internal hemorrhaging or serious injury to blood vessels internally. That means that her death was likely tragically slow. If I had to guess, it took a minimum of 90 seconds for her to lose consciousness and 4 minutes for death to occur. She likely had to look in the eyes of the man who she loved and deal with the heartbreaking shock that he was about to become her murderer. 4-year-old Bella Watts was Shanann and Chris Watts' eldest daughter. She was also likely Chris Watts' last victim. In the early morning hours of August 13, 2018, Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife Shanann by strangulation. He then loaded her body and 2 still live daughters, Bella and Cece, in his vehicle. According to Chris himself, he drove to an oil site and first killed 3-year-old Cece, followed by crying and pleading Bella. After the fact, he put each of his daughters in separate oil tanks and buried Shanann in a shallow grave. Bella was found submerged in oil in a moderate state of decomposition. Her toxicology report detected a range of substances and chemicals, including ethanol. All of this is a result of her stage of decomp as well as from oil exposure and does not reflect her state prior to death. Her external exam detected a large abrasion on her torso and yellowish discoloration of her left shoulder. There was also a gash on her upper gum line accompanied by bruising, likely sustained in the struggle. Additionally, she had teeth impressions on her tongue from biting it while trying to fight back. She had petechial hemorrhaging on her scalp due to surface blood vessels rupturing and fluid buildup in her brain tissue. These findings are common with asphyxiation. There was no oil present in her lungs or airways, indicating that she was already dead upon entering the tank. Her cause of death is asphyxiation by smothering. Cece Watts was Shanann and Chris Watts' youngest daughter and Chris's second victim. Her external examination did not detect any obvious signs of trauma. The internal exam found her to have partially collapsed lungs, but there wasn't any excess fluid or oil present in her airways, which confirms that she died prior to entering the oil tank. There was some fluid buildup in her brain tissue, but this was likely a result of decomposition. Her head and body was free from serious injury, which made the determination tough for the coroner. Based on evidence from the case and the manner of death being ruled as obvious asphyxiation for her sister Bella, the coroner ruled Cece's death to be homicide by likely asphyxiation. It is widely believed, and Chris's own word supports, that he smothered her to death, which resulted in suffocation.